Hello, everyone. Welcome to Health 180 with Carion Fenn and Rogers TV and podcast. My name is Carion Fenn. Hearing loss consistently ranks among the top 5 causes of years lived with a disability in Canada. An estimated 19% of adults, which is 4.6 million, have at least mild hearing loss in the speech frequency range. An even larger percentage of adult population, 35%, which is 8.4 million, have some degree of hearing loss in the high frequency range, and which is where age-related hearing loss typically begins, according to Statistics Canada. Well, this should be an area of interest to all of us as we grow and develop over the years. Sandra Nurse, audiologist at Ajax Audiology and Hearing Services, is here to fill us in. We are exploring audiology, giving you an insight into what you should know. We want to help you learn more, so let's learn together. Sandra, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Tell us about yourself.
So I'm an audiologist since the mid-80s, and I am practicing in Ajax, Ontario in my own personal clinic now.
So tell us a little bit about your clinic.
My clinic is at Kingston and Westney Central Ajax, and we are seeing people of all different ages. However, we do see more young children and elderly. The young children, because they have to do a hearing test before they start speech therapy. I'm seeing a lot of those children right now. And the younger children who also have ear infections. And the elderly, since there's a huge portion of elderly who have hearing loss, I do see a lot of geriatric patients.
So I did remember I was in a special pregnancy program when I had my 13-year-old son now, who's now 13 years old, obviously. But one of the things that they check for is also the ability to hear. Is that is something normally done?
It's routine now in the hospital. If at all possible, it's done right there in the hospital. It's not an audiologist, actually, it's a technician that, probably trained.
Yes.
Do a basic hearing screening that sweeps across a few pitches and make sure that they hear at those pitches. And if they pass it, they pass it. If they fail it, they end up in an audiology clinic.
Yeah. I didn't remember, for some reason, I don't know, it's maybe the difference in time, but I don't remember my 25-year-old, I don't remember him going through that. They might have, but I don't remember. But I know that I was in a special pregnancy program when I had my 13-year-old, but I did notice a difference. So I'm not sure whether or not it's something like normally done or routine, but which is a good idea, because then you be able to know if there's an issue with your child or not. Can you give us for those who might not know, can you give us the definition in terms of what is an audiologist?
We are hearing specialists. We specialize in hearing, balance, and dizziness primarily. So there are many types of tests to verify the hearing and the balance of patients, and that's primarily, and of course, hearing aids and all the other devices that help people hear. There's devices in schools for school-age children. We specialize in all of those devices, dispensing of them and showing people how to use them.
So if you're not balanced, you mentioned hearing balance. If you're not balanced, does that impact your ability to hear things?
Does it impact it's kind of which comes first, the chicken or the egg, because the balance and the dizziness, I mean, if somebody is terribly dizzy once in a blue moon, they might actually have a tumor. So we're ruling out tumors with special testing, and we're not ruling them out. We're not allowed to rule them out. The test will suggest if there is if they need to go for more testing and if they need to see a specialist, an ear, nose, throat specialist. So we refer to ear, nose, throat specialists, and ear, nose, throat specialists refer to us. But you can see an audiologist without any referral. You can just walk into an audiology
You can
clinic.
just walk in and say, you're bringing it when I'm speaking to you, you're talking about these different things, and it brings me back. I know as a part of my treatment that I've went through, like for instance, they would drop like water in your ear, and then they'll check your eyesight, and then they'll put like water in your ear. And like is it all connected?
Well, because in the ear, balance is in the ear. There's something called that is actually in the ear. So when you're having a balance issue, it can often be an ear issue. The sense of the responsibility for balance is in your ear.
Yeah. So yeah, very, very, very familiar. Now it's making sense in terms of the water in the air, and they test you to see if your balance is off or it's in the right position. How do you check for hearing loss?
We check with something called an audiometer. We start by looking in the ear, making sure it's not just from wax, because that's an easy fix. We can clean the wax.
Yes.
But then we test with the audiometer, and we send pitches, different pitches and different loudness levels. And when the patient hears, they push the button, or they raise their hand, or a kid might clap, or we'll send little figures inside the box to the kid, and they'll look at when they hear it, they'll look towards the little cartoon figures. So it depends on the age too. But in a normal adult, they just push a button when they hear the sound.
What are the most common causes of hearing loss? Give us a few ideas.
Hearing loss can be caused by a variety of things. Broken eardrums, trauma to the ear we even see abused people in couple relationships where the partner breaks the eardrum by hitting them in the head. We see broken eardrums from ear infections.
Yes.
We see people who are born with hearing loss, that the ear didn't develop and they're born that way, or hereditary. Parents both don't hear, and they have a chance of actually having a child who doesn't hear too.
So the tests that you do in your office, how accurate are those tests?
Oh, they have to be accurate because surgeons depend on our results and the patients depend on them. And even if when we're prescribing the hearing aid and saying, how loud do we want the hearing aid to go? We need to know first, by their hearing, how we want the hearing aid to work. So it just has to be accurate.
If someone actually lost some of their ability to hear things, how do you tell the degree of loss that person has?
By when they responded to the sound. So if they respond at 5 decibels, then they're within the range of normal. If they respond at 50 decibels, then they have a hearing loss. So they respond at different levels, and that's their hearing.
Is there a difference between patients who are adults versus patients who are children?
There's a difference in terms of how we check their hearing, and just in terms of how we condition them. But you can get an adult or a child with the exact same hearing loss. They can have the same hearing problems.
So how long does it take for a patient to get their test results?
The results are immediate. I mean, when we finish the test, we sit down and we discuss the results. And I give them the results right away. As long as it's an audiologist and not like a hospital technician checking the babies. And then, even then, they get the screening and they either do a pass or fail. They don't have complete results because then they need to see an audiologist after they failed. But in my clinic, I give them the results right away.
So what is that like giving someone a negative result from your testing?
what is it like for me, or what is it like for the patient?
A bit of both.
Well, for the patient, I mean, people take usually 5 to 10 years to walk into a door after they have a hearing loss. They don't say, wow, I have a hearing loss. People linger and procrastinate and think it's going to get better. So it typically can take 5 years before they walk in. So they kind of already know. They just don't know the degree. They don't know if it's permanent or temporary. There's things they still don't know. But I don't think most of the time it comes as a shock because they don't walk in the door quickly enough.
Okay. Okay. How often should someone have their hearing evaluated?
Every 3 to 5, if you think of the American Speech and Hearing Association, they suggest every 3 to 5 years for adults over 18.
So is that, I don't recall my doctor ever telling me this, but is there a routine of family doctors actually sending their patients every 5 years to get tested? Or
Ideally,
do you have to go and see an audiologist or request to see one?
that would be the optimal situation, that every 3 to 5 years, the doctor would say, you're overdue for a hearing test. Some
Yeah.
doctors start it as they get older. They start, their 40-year-old patients. Okay, it's time for you to get at least a baseline hearing test. And some
Yeah.
for themselves.
Okay. Okay. So, what would you recommend for the average person in terms of keeping your ears healthy, or a healthy routine for maintaining your hearing abilities?
I think a good healthy routine is if you think you're having a problem, go and see about it. Because sometimes I've seen people who've lived 2 years with a hearing problem, and when they walked in the door, all it was wax. It was such an easy fix, and they lived with it for 2 years. So if you're having a problem, go and get an audiologist to check your hearing.
Can you share with us what's that patient audiologist relationship like as you treat your patients over the years?
Well, you definitely get to know them, because you have to ask them, where is it hard for you to hear? Is your wife speaking to you properly? You actually get couples who are arguing about their hearing. So she never listens to me. Well, she can't hear you. No, but it's selective. No, I already told you. Hearing loss is not selective. So there's actually some couples counseling too. Definitely.
I can imagine that conversation that you would be having with your patients as you travel on this journey. You're watching Health 180 with Carion Fenn and Rogers TV and podcast. We are exploring audiology with Sandra Nurse at Ajax Audiology and Hearing Services. My name is Carion Fenn, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Health 180 with Carion Fenn and Rogers TV and podcast. My name is Carion Fenn. We are exploring audiology with Sandra Nurse at Ajax Audiology and Hearing Services. Sandra is back to talk more about audiology. Sandra, can an ailment or disability impacts one's ability over a long period of time?
Can the hearing loss disability, or can another disability impact hearing?
Can another disability impact one's ability to hear over time of dealing with that ailment?
There's chronic illnesses that can affect hearing for sure. There's diabetics have more hearing loss.
Mhm.
My specialty in graduate school in audiology was sickle cell and hearing loss. So sickle cell can affect hearing loss. There are a lot of ailments that can actually affect hearing, a
Yeah.
lot of diseases.
Okay. How common is it for the younger generation to be impacted by hearing loss?
Well, there's a new problem where younger people are playing their earbuds too loud,
Hmm.
and they can potentially lose their hearing from playing music too loud in their ears, just the way people who work in noise lose their
Yes.
hearing.
Hmm. So, what kind of hearing devices are more commonly used these days?
Types. There's the one that goes behind the ear.
Hmm.
They're very common nowadays.
Yes.
Small, very, very small. You can't even see them there. And then
Hmm.
there's the ones that go in the ear.
Okay. Is there a difference between the two? Is one more effective than the other? Or is one use depends on the level of ability to hear things?
It's a little of both. Some of it is for aesthetic reasons, people choose them,
Hmm.
but you can't just say, oh, you can use that just because you want to use it. You sometimes have to refuse people because it's not the right hearing aid for their hearing loss.
Okay. Okay. So, have you ever had an experience where a patient wants to return a hearing aid?
For sure. People sometimes have unrealistic expectations of what a hearing aid is going to do for them,
Hmm.
or they don't like the way it sounds. It's not a natural sound. It's not like your natural ear sound, the way you heard when you didn't have hearing loss.
Yeah.
Amplified sound. It's an electronic sound. Sometimes they're not expecting that. Once in a blue moon, you will get somebody who, or they didn't want it, their wife wanted them to get it, and so they get it, and then they say, no, I don't like it because the wife wanted it more than he wanted.
Hmm. Hmm. What are the 5 levels of hearing?
There's normal hearing,
Hmm.
there's mild hearing loss, there's moderate hearing loss, and there's severe hearing loss, and there's profound hearing loss. So different levels, mild, moderate. I like to say mild, moderate, I like to call it for the layperson, medium hearing loss. And then it just gets worse and worse to profound, where you really don't hear at all, the deaf.
Can you explain to us what does the number 40 means on an audiogram?
So that's kind of like the beginning of a moderate hearing loss, closer to like mild moderate hearing loss, the border of mild moderate hearing loss.
Hmm.
But it would have to be all across the board for all the different pitches. So at that pitch, it's that.
Okay. So, what is normal hearing for like a 75-year-old person? Is there a difference between what is considered normal for a child, an adult, or someone who's more of a mature age?
Not really. Normal is normal. So some people will hear from a doctor, you don't hear bad for your age, or not bad for your age. It may be a hearing loss, but not bad for your age. But normal is normal. If it's normal at 7 years old,
Mhm.
and if it's normal at 75, it's still the same. Categorically, we're looking at it and saying your hearing is normal.
Okay. You talked about, the loud noises that's often on AirPods or, music for the younger generation. What kind of impact does that really have or leads to in terms of their ability to hear things as they get older?
Well, I mean, if they're impacting their hearing right then, there's loud noises can do a temporary hearing loss.
Mhm.
But if you look at somebody like, let's say somebody who works in noise, after 4, 5, 6 years in those loud noises for 8, 9 hours a day, the temporary hearing loss shifts to a more permanent hearing loss. So it's the same thing, it can shift.
Yeah. So tell us about how does vibration affect hearing? Can you give us a little bit more about the inside of vibration and how it relates to our ability to hear things?
Well, I mean, the deaf can feel the vibration. Sometimes when you're a young audiologist and you're just learning it in school and you say, oh, look, they heard that. And you feel that that's a deaf person in front of you, but it's actually that they felt the vibration more than they heard it. You're seeing it sometimes on TV now when they're showing a deaf person and they're dancing to the music, but they're actually feeling the vibration on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
But they can feel it.
Okay. So you talked a bit about genetics, and hearing loss can be caused by genetics. Is it expected that if a parent is deaf, that the next generation of children will be deaf as well? Or does it skip a generation? Can you just share with us how genetics relates to the hearing loss?
Well, they can be deaf. So there's the chance that they will be deaf. There's a statistical chance that they may be deaf, and there's the chance that they actually may give birth to a normal hearing child.
Mm-hmm. So, what are some of the precautions someone can take to reduce their ability to hear things?
To reduce their ability to not hear things.
To not hear things, yeah.
Well, I mean, there's being careful. I have a memory of seeing people in another country who would use toothpicks and stuff to clean their ears.
Mm-hmm.
Well, every toothpick can also break their eardrum. So you have to be careful what you put in your ear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And of course, watching children that they don't put little things in their ears. I've seen plenty of little children with little toy pieces in their ear
Mm-hmm.
that got into their ear. And then there's the prevention of hearing loss from wearing hearing protection if you do work in a noisy job.
Yes.
Not comfortable. Well, it's more comfortable wearing that than ending up at 52 years old with a solid hearing loss.
Mm-hmm.
So there's prevention of hearing loss a little bit and not ignoring your hearing loss.
Yeah. So technology has changed over the years. Should we expect to see more up and coming technology in audiology?
In hearing aids or in audiology?
In audiology.
Well, there'll always be new advances in audiology. Even the test that you were talking about where you did a water test, that's even changed through the years.
Mm-hmm.
And then in technology, it's rapidly changing. The hearing aids are rapidly changing.
Mm-hmm. No. So do you feel that we're advancing as more technology, because we see around us everything is becoming more attached to a technological way of living? Are you seeing a drastic change in that type of technology in this area? Or is it just been like a slow pace? Like what is that like in your area compared to, the other things that we're seeing in regular day life where technology is taking over?
Well, it's taken over in hearing aids too. Hearing aids are now Bluetooth adaptable. You can stream your music. You can stream the volume of your phone call straight into your ear through the hearing aids. Everything is streamable on hearing aid. Well, not everything, but things are there's Bluetooth technology. Hearing aids will translate from one language to another for you. The technology it's there in hearing aids too. There's hearing aids that will actually tell you that your mother fell down.
Yeah. So what can you say to a family member about ways they can help support someone who is going through hearing loss?
The best thing I like to say is remember that they have a hearing loss. Talk to them in the way I'm suggesting you talk to them. Sometimes it means slowing down your speech a little, because if I have a daughter who speaks like this, and if she speaks like this, then the person with a hearing loss is not going to understand them. So you have to slow down the way you speak. You have to speak to the person. You have to let them see your lips if they need lip reading.
So what can you say to family members who are struggling to cope with a loved one who is also struggling to adapt to actually not having their ability to hear things the way they normally could?
I think it's keeping them in the loop. So sometimes at a busy, I don't know, Christmas dinner where the whole family's there and there's like 17 people, it's keeping the person with the hearing loss in the conversation, helping them, so if mom doesn't seem like she quite heard, it's like, oh, mom, did you actually see that TV show so-and-so also?
That's all the time we have for today's episode of Health 180 with Carion Fenn on Rogers TV and podcast. My name is Carion Fenn. Thank you to Sandra Nurse at Ajax Audiology and Hearing Services for joining me today. A special thank you to Susie Sher Oshawa, and thank you for joining us. And remember, together we are stronger.